Hi, everybody, and welcome to Weekend GamePlan with Marcus Hersh. I'm Dan Illman, along with DRF handicapper and analyst Marcus Hersh. This week, we'll take a look at 3 more spot plays on Saturday, hoping to build on last week's profitable Weekend GamePlan. Marcus, of course, tabbing Run Happy Turf Sprint winner Totally Boss at a pretty nice price, 4-1. We'll start things off with the Canadian Stakes at Woodbine. Let's take a look at this field. $250,000 affair for fillies and mares, mile and an eighth on the turf. And Marcus, your morning line favorite, the number 5, Competition of Ideas, just finished third in the Grade 1 Beverly D, but she had a really hot pace to close into that day. Could be a completely different scenario at Woodbine on Saturday.
Yeah, potentially. I think there'll be a little pace in this race. But I think Competition of Ideas is fine. I guess maybe her New York, where she was narrowly beaten by the unfortunately injured O'Marique, was her best race this year. I don't know that she has much more to give this season. I kind of feel like we've seen the best of her. And while she ran a decent race in Beverly D, she was nowhere near Awesome Tank, who actually runs later on this card in the Woodbine Mile. I think she's a perfectly capable filly and a deserving favorite. I just don't think that she is in any way invulnerable, nor do I feel that Holy Helena, who's 5-2 on the line, I have even less regard for her at a short price. She's 5-2. So I went fishing a little bit here.
Yeah, there are so many ways to go in this race. You mentioned Holy Helena, who of course has a big reputation by virtue of her Queen's Plate win. Starship Jubilee might be the speed. She won this race a couple of years ago. But you're going with a little bit of a stranger, the European Invader in here, Magnetic Charm. And we're going to go back to her most recent race. And this is a really rock-solid performance. You see her in the royal colors in between horses, pink sleeves, black cap. She punches on nicely late. And I think she's got a little bit of tactical speed. And I also like that she's won over a left-handed course at York that should play well, considering the Woodbine course is similar.
Well, yeah, very much so. York is one of the flattest tracks in Europe, in England especially, and it's also left-handed. It's a wide sweeping course. It's like more than a 3-furlong home stretch. So, this stretch isn't that long, but I do think there are some similarities. And this horse, is age 1 on the line and will be that price. I assume she just does not have anything like the established credentials to challenge a horse like Competition of Ideas for favoritism. But because of that, and because she's a 3-year-old, she gets in at a feathery 110 pounds. I assume that's the reason the local jockey was named. I think that it's important to note the trainer, William Haggis, who, from everything I've seen, is an excellent horse person. And moreover, he's been running horses with greater and greater frequency in North America. I really think that he's gotten a good sense, and he's not just throwing darts either. I think he's very, very tactical and precise in the horses he selects. I think that if I had to guess, it was that York race you mentioned, Dan, and the fact this horse has some pace, and the fact that he knew she was going to get in at such a light weight that he decided to take a shot with her, and it is taking a shot to some extent. But that is a lot of weight for a horse who could be getting first run on a horse like Competition of Ideas. And I just think at the end of her 3-year-old season, she's only run 3 times this year. If she does have an adequate amount of talent, I think she's just brimming with upside at a decent price in this race.
I think that's an excellent point, certainly about the upside. It's quite possible and even probable. We've seen the best race already from horses like Competition of Ideas and Holy Helena and Starship Jubilee. This filly has all the upside. 8-1 on the morning line. Maybe takes a slight dip, but I think she's a playable price in the Canadian. Let's move to Churchill Downs. 2-year-olds are going to be in action in the Iroquois Stakes. We'll take a look at that field right now. 2-turn mile and a 16th, race number 10 at Churchill, and all eyes are going to be on the number 8, Dennis's Moment, 9-5 morning line favorite. The horse ran off the screen market at Ellis Parks, almost winning by 20 lengths. But aren't just supposed to beat these horses, trying something new for the first time? 2 turns against a faster pace scenario?
Well, first of all, the 9-5 I think is absurd. I don't think this horse is anywhere near 9-5. I think the horse is an odds-on favorite facing 9 horses, which is a short odds-on favorite considering the field size. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but there's just I don't think I am at all. Yeah, and it's a good point you make in a general way, Dan, about taking on these horses who are talking horses, hype horses. horses with reputation. And granted, this horse was very impressive. I mean, he did that easily. He's got a lot of speed, but it's not just the 2 turns for the first time and a different pace narrow, but there is so much speed light up in this field, and we see it over and over again. Handicappers like us are not the only ones looking at the form. The trainers are looking, the owners are looking, the jockeys are looking. People know, what the pace situation is like. That being said, when you get to a certain tipping point in a race like this, and especially with young horses who are stretching out in many of these cases, it's just hard to imagine them not going really fast. Maybe this horse is rateable, maybe he can take back. And, if he turns out to be an absolute superstar, it'll be fun to see. I mean, if he wins by 10 lengths and goes into the Breeders' Cup, or whatever his next start is as a prohibitive favorite and just a top elite animal, that's fine. But, at something like 3 to 5, where I think he's going to have to work really hard or do something totally different and sit in behind and finish, I mean, I'm perfectly willing to play a horse at double-digit odds who I think is going to get a better setup and who might have some upside.
And that horse is the number 2, Let Me Know, who is coming out of the Ellis Park Juvenile, which was won by Rowdy Yates, the Oklahoma bred, also in this field. Rowdy Yates got the jump on Let Me Know. Let Me Know is now moving into second place. I think he's going to finish with some interest. Looking over the charts this day at Ellis Park, it just seemed like you wanted to be on or near the lead. Let Me Know came with a good run, draws well once again at Churchill Downs. And if you mentioned the pace is going to be fast, this horse should be running late at a price.
Well, I think so, and I think it's important to note in the Ellis Park Juvenile as well. He had an educational experience because he was inside, in behind, had to do some different stuff that young horses are supposed to learn how to do if they're going to be real race horses. And B, he really had to wait quite a while for any room to operate. I'm not saying that he had an explosive finish, but they did come home pretty fast. And if, as you say, there was a speed component to this track, I thought he finished as well as anyone, better than anyone, except perhaps the winner who came home nicely enough and also galloped out well. I think it's important to note as well that this horse won first time out. Ian Wilkes is not a trainer who points horses to debut success at all. If they win, it's because they're naturally talented and precocious. I just feel like this horse, I'm pretty sure that he's going to run well in 2 turns, and I'm almost positive he's going to be well off the early pace. Whether he's good enough, and whether Dennis's moment is vulnerable in any way, I'm not sure, but I do believe he'll be every bit of his 10-1, and I'm willing to take a shot at that price.
Feature race this weekend is back at Woodbine. We'll throw up the field for the Grade 1 $1 million Woodbine Mile. It's at 1 turn over the E.P. Taylor turf course configuration. It is carded as race number 9. I want to remind everybody you can get the written edition of Game Plan on DRF.com. Picks from Marcus, picks from some of our great DRF handicappers and analysts. The morning line favorite in this race is the number 5, Got Stormy, who just exploded in her last 2 races at Saratoga, most recently off only a 1-week break to beat Boys in the 4-star Dave. A lot of folks are now beginning to compare her with Marcassi's Super Turf mare from a few years ago, Tepin. I think it's a bit early to make that comparison, but she is much improved. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah, I mean, even the trainer is the one that I saw first mention it, and I was a little bit surprised. I mean, I completely agree about the premature Tevin comparisons. You have to acknowledge that, especially our 4-star Dave was an awesome performance, one of the best, if not the best, turf mile performances of the year in North America. And that's great. I hope that you bet her at 5-1. I did not. But that was 5-1 and the very best race she's ever run in her life. Now she's a heavy favorite against a stronger field. And maybe the 1-week turnaround, 2 bang big races in a row didn't take anything out of her. I mean, that's entirely possible. It could happen. But normally, I mean, with horses, when you ask a lot of them, it takes some sort of toll. I'm not saying she's going to fall apart, but it's hard to imagine her running a race like she did last time. A, because it was so incredible, and B, because she had a great pace setup in that race, and C, her 2 best races both came at Saratoga, which is a much different kind of course with different demands than this course at Woodbine, which is a 1-turn mile. So, I mean, all credit to God Stormy. If she wins this race, it will come as no surprise, but I'm perfectly willing to play against her at the price she's going to be in this race. Same goes with the horse that was the runner-up to God Stormy last time, and who's the second choice in this race, Raging Bull. I feel like I know who he is. He got a great setup as well with as fast as they went early. He could also run well. I just don't think that he's a fair value to me at his morning line odds at all.
I'm fascinated by your top selection in this race, and that's another filly taking on the boys, the number 6, Awesome Tank. I thought she ran a really underrated race in the Beverly D last time out. Everyone was giving Sister Charlie her deserved plaudits for winning that race, but lost in the shuffle, Marcus, was that Awesome Tank was pushing a very, very fast pace and still was right there at the end. I think an easier trip could be coming at the right price.
I totally agree. I was not on this horse at all in the Beverly D, but I agree, she really ran well for a flash. And the jockey, Giroux, who's not riding her this time, there's a jockey come over to ride her. He said, for a second he thought he might have a chance at Sister Charlie. I mean, Sister Charlie is like a Hall of Fame caliber mare. She's awesome. And the reason that Awesome Tank got swept up a little bit close to the hot pace is because Sister Charlie had Thais, the pacemaker, in the race to help set things up for her, not that she needs a lot of help. Just going back with this horse, I just noticed, in fact, today she's 16-1 overseas for this race. So she's not accorded a lot of respect in England, where she's based. Trainer William Haggis again. That's because she doesn't have the form to suggest she's a Group 1 or Grade 1 level filly. But I think you have to take account that she went left-handed on firm ground and ran the best race of her career last time at a distance you might argue was a little bit long for her. She cuts back to a mile here. I see one other pace horse in the race, this stretch-out sprinter, Silent Poet. I mean, I expect that horse to lead, and I expect her to get towed along, but at probably a slower tempo and at a better configuration for her. What really impressed me, Dan, is seeing her break in an American race. She didn't break like a European horse at all. She was very quick away from the gate. She's got a nice amount of speed. I just think she's a horse with pace who wants firm ground, who's cutting back to a better trip. Getting a better setup against a couple of horses coming off peaks, could regress, and she should be a price.
There you have it. 3 weekend game plan spot plays from Marcus Hersh, all at nice prices on the morning line. The action begins with the Canadian at Woodbine with an approximate post time of 4:30 p.m. Eastern. Best of luck.